You have to bear with me just a little bit. I'm used to the iPad version, and this is the Mac version. The PC version was a little bit slow for me to record, so I'm going to try to use this. The only difference really with the Mac version, I think, is that it has these floating windows instead of fixed windows. But I got it pretty close to what you should have. So these tools will be the same. These layers will be the same. This part might be a little different. I think the tool options are in the middle here. Anyway, you can see the basics, so that's all that really matters. Okay, so what I'm going to show you is really quick. Okay, so I'm going to draw a ball. I'm drawing with a mouse, so bear with me here. And then we're going to add drawing after. Here's the thing I was talking about, onion skin. That'll show like a faint version of the old one. So we'll draw the ball again, kind of here. Now if you notice, I'm drawing this loose, so between the two drawings, I don't know if you know you can flip using the little caret signs, these little keys like that look like this. That'll flip back and forth so you can kind of roughly see the motion. That's useful. So here I'm going to draw another one. You're going to add drawing after. Now with a ball, I'm sure you've seen bouncing ball. This is usually the first thing they teach with animation. You want to have a little acceleration. So as it's falling, it's going to be getting a little bit faster, and it's going to be picking up a little speed, so the drawings will be a little farther apart. Now if you see what I'm doing, the drawings, you can tell that they're moving, but you can see, especially because I'm drawing with the mouse, they're a little irregular. So where copying and pasting comes into hand, see these are the actual frames here. You can right click here. Sorry, not right click. Let's see, add drawing, I think it is. See here it says duplicate after. What that'll do is it'll make another drawing that's exactly the same after it. And what that lets you do is this. You can use this tool here, highlight it, and just move it a little bit. Now you see this? Now the ball is exactly the same. Now this is good for really short motions. Like say if you had a character that was just reaching to grab something, for instance. Most of the body would be the same, but you might want to move very small little details. You can use this kind of thing. Also, if you have a character that's pretty much static, or something like a tree or something in the background maybe that you want to move just a little bit, doing it this way is not a bad way to do it. So again, you click the last drawing, you say add drawing, duplicate after, and then again you can highlight the part you want to copy and just move it a little bit. So now if you look at my motion, now it looks like it's falling. Now what I was telling you before about squash and stretch is having it move this way is kind of mechanical. So usually the way they teach the bouncing ball is that when it's coming down here, you're going to want to add a drawing that is stretched a little bit. So for instance, this one here, you're going to want to stretch the ball a little bit. Now, when you look at the still drawing, it's really obvious that you're stretching it. But when it's moving, you won't notice it as much. It'll just have a little bounce to it. So now watch here. So now here, you want to keep basically the rough position, but you're going to make the ball flatten as if it's hitting the ground. So here, you got the ball. See, as it's reaching the ground, kind of splats. And then you're going to make it bounce upward a little bit, kind of like this. Again, this is with a mouse, so it's not going to be perfect. You see that? Now, once it's done bouncing, it's going to go back to its regular shape. And now this is where this comes in handy. So now, see these balls? We're going to want that to go kind of the same shape as this one, right? So what we can do is we can, let me see if I can do this properly. Duplicate after. So, oops, I did it wrong, sorry. Let me go back. So we got this. Okay, so here we're going to go back to this ball. Duplicate after. Now that made another one. Let me see if I think this one lets you, yeah, this one lets you move it. So I'm going to move it to the end here. Let's see. See if I did this right. I haven't done this on the PC before, so let's see. Alright, so we got the ball, splat, bounce. Yep. So now we just get rid of that empty drawing there. Yep. Now this one's off. It's moved a little too far, so I'm going to actually move it back right about there. Alright. So now this gives you an idea. If we get rid of the onion skin here and we play this, it's a little bit fast, but you definitely see the movement. So what I would do, usually what I'll do is I'll time out the animation first. These are called key poses. So then once you're done and the motion looks the way that you want it to, you'll go back and you'll add drawings to make the animation smoother. So these are called in-betweens. You've probably heard that term before. You draw drawings between the two drawings that you're doing so that it smooths out the motion. And in-betweens do slow down the animation, which is usually what you want, because typically you'll be too fast. If you just draw all the keys, it's going to be too fast. But by doing this, it's called padding or softening or smoothing. You can see this is still a little bit fast for my liking, but you get the idea. And again, objects that are falling will fall faster. Once they're going up, like here, you're going to be a little bit slower. So you would draw the frame closer to the last one. The spacing would be like something like that, because it's fighting gravity. Oops, my alarm's going off. And let's see here. Again, this is slowing up because it's hitting its peak right here. Now, you could also, this is something you can do. See up here it says drawing duration. If you make this 2, it'll hold that drawing for 2 frames. See right there? That'll also help slow down the animation, which is actually very good. So a lot of these drawings, I could extend them to 2 frames by just doing this. And that will typically, this is what I called drawing on 2s or animating on 2s. Certain frames you might want to keep on 1s. Like this one is falling, you might want to keep that on 1. This one you might want to keep on 1. This one you might want to keep on 1. But this one, you might want to go back to 2. It's really just all about experimenting and about what feels right. Typically, if you're working for a company, they'll tell you like, we want this action to be 2 seconds long or something, and you can figure out, okay, 24 frames a second. You're going to need 48 frames total, and then you can kind of play with the spacing. You can redraw if you don't like a particular frame. You can redraw it, but the whole idea is just playing around with it until it feels right. See, like this circle, this would be off model because the ball is a little too big. So I could actually go in there and redraw it. I won't for this tutorial, but let me show you now on 2s. You can see it's starting to look a lot better. The bounce is still a little weird. So I would go in here. I might actually make this on 2s also. This one's extra, so I'm going to delete that. Say boom. Maybe we'll hold that one too. The spring up will keep 1 frame. Maybe this one too. Let's try that. There you go. It's not great, but for drawing on a mouse for a tutorial, it's not terrible. But you get the idea. So here you got onion skin, which gives you the faint drawings. You have drawing duration, which holds the drawings longer. You have the add drawing for duplicating. You have the paint or pen tool, obviously, and you got this lasso, which helps you move your drawings. Now, another cool thing you can do is, remember I said that ball was a little bit too big? I can actually go in here and just shrink it a little bit. Same with this drawing. This drawing is a little too big. I can just go in here and shrink it a little bit, maybe move it around a little bit. This lets you really fine-tune your animations, which is why I said like a 1-second animation can take hours, because you can get really particular about it. If you're just doing it for a project or for fun, it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing it for money or for a company or for like a fan project or something, you're going to want to really try to do your best with it. And I think I told you most objects don't move in straight lines, so this beginning was not great. I made it pretty much fall straight. You could go back and play with this and make it move on arcs, because most natural objects have arcs to them. In life, if you watch things, they don't move in straight lines usually. They use arcs or bends or curves. straight line movements are really unnatural. And that's one of the first things they'll look for if you're in like an animation school. They want all your things as much as possible to work on arcs. A lot of times what they'll do is they'll add a layer. Let's see, modify layer, add into layer. So they'll call it like guide, for instance. You'll probably see this if you watch tutorials on professional animators. They'll draw a general guide of where they want everything to go. For instance, this will be a path where the ball would go. And you would probably want to, let's see here. Hold on a second. What did I do here? Oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing the names. That's not what I want. There we go. Now see this? This is only for that one frame. So what I would do if I wanted like a background or something, I would extend it the whole way. Or you can also do this, sync layers, where it'll match up the layers. I tend to do it manually, but you can do it that way also. So we'll call this one ball. Okay. So now, if you see the ball, I just did this rough, but if you wanted to make your ball follow that path, you would just animate over that path. So a lot of times animators will draw the path first, and then that kind of gives them a rough idea where they want. This is really useful if you do have a fixed background that's drawn by somebody, like say for instance you had a like a tree here or something, and you wanted the ball to bounce over the tree. Then you could figure out, okay, the ball's going to bounce here, it's over the tree. Or if you have like a character that has to walk in front or in back of an object, having a really rough layout like this helps a lot before you do the fine tuning. So I'm going to actually get rid of this layer here. Let's see, delete layer, boom. There you go. All right, so hopefully that helps. It's not the best tutorial, but it should teach you a little bit about what I'm talking about. And there we go. I'll teach you more in the future.